What happens when growth makes you unrecognizable, even to the people who used to understand you best? Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to The Way of the Wise Owl. I'm your host, Dagmarie, and today's episode is one that touches the raw, tender part of our journey, the part where healing no longer feels like light and liberation, but loss and loneliness. Because no one really talks about the grief of self evolution. No one warns you that when you begin to rise, some people will stop clapping, and that sometimes the very people who once celebrated you will struggle to recognize the person you've become. So today we're diving deep into the experience of outgrowing the version of you that everyone loved. We'll move through 5 parts together. 1. My personal story of transformation and disconnection. 2. The emotional truth of what happens during this evolution. 3. The how to, practical ways to navigate and honor this new stage. 4. The pros and cons of outgrowing your old self. 5. And finally, the benefits, the beauty, and the liberation that wait beyond the pain. Let's take a deep breath together. You're safe here. You're seen. You're evolving. And that's something to be proud of. For years, I was the dependable one. The one who said yes, even when my heart screamed no. The listener, the fixer, the caretaker, the one who always put others before herself because that was what love looked like to me. Being that person made me feel needed, and being needed made me feel loved. But one day I realized that version of me, the one everyone adored, was silently breaking inside. She smiled too much, apologized too often, and stayed silent to keep the peace. And when I started choosing myself, the love changed. People said, "You're not as fun anymore. You're distant. You've changed." And they were right. I had changed. I stopped seeking validation through exhaustion. I stopped saying yes to everything. I stopped performing my worth. But what no one tells you is that self-evolution doesn't always feel empowering at first. It feels like rejection. Because you begin to see how much of your old life was built on your willingness to abandon yourself. And when you stop doing that and when you start walking in your truth, some people don't walk with you anymore. That's the price of becoming real. Let's be honest, growth hurts. It's the soft ache that no one prepares you for. You'll grieve the friendships that no longer align. You'll grieve the approval you used to get so easily. You'll grieve the safety of being understood. And yet, you'll feel this quiet, steady peace underneath it all. That's the paradox of transformation. It's both painful and freeing at the same time. As you shed the layers that no longer fit, you also start to remember who you truly are. And that realization that you were never meant to be loved for your compliance, but for your authenticity, that's where your power begins. So how do you navigate this sacred yet uncomfortable space? How do you honor your growth without losing yourself to guilt or isolation? Here's a process I call the 4 pillars of becoming. 1. Awareness. Start by recognizing when you're shrinking. Notice when you adjust your tone, silence your truth, or laugh at things that don't sit right with your spirit just to belong. Awareness is your power switch. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. 2. Acceptance. Understand that not everyone will understand your evolution, and that's okay. Acceptance doesn't mean indifference, it means releasing control. You can't drag people into your next chapter if they're still loyal to your last one. 3. Alignment. Ask yourself daily, does this feel like me? Let your actions match your new energy. That may mean saying no more often, leaving certain spaces, or protecting your peace without apology. 4. Affirmation. Speak life into your growth. Say, I am allowed to change. I release the guilt of becoming someone new. I trust that my evolution is divine. Write these on your mirror. Whisper them before bed. Because the more you affirm your new identity, the stronger your spirit becomes. A pros and cons, the balance of becoming. It's easy to glorify growth, but let's be real, it's not always pretty. So let's break down the honest pros and cons of outgrowing your old self. The cons, the discomfort of change. Loneliness. Growth often creates silence. Not everyone will walk beside you in this season. Misunderstanding. You'll be judged for boundaries that others benefit from you not having. Loss of identity. It's disorienting when the things that once defined you no longer feel right. Emotional fatigue. Transformation is exhausting. It asks for rest, patience, and grace. The pros, the power of evolution. Clarity. You finally see who's meant for you and who was there for the performance. Peace. You stop living in survival mode. You breathe differently. Freedom. You realize that authenticity is worth more than approval. Confidence. You begin to trust your own voice more than anyone else's. Alignment. Your choices start reflecting your truth, and that's when life begins to feel real. The key takeaway: the temporary pain of transformation is nothing compared to the lifelong regret of staying the same. Benefits: the blessings of becoming unrecognizable. When you outgrow the version of you that everyone loves, you start to meet the version that you love. You learn to enjoy your own company. You start making decisions from a place of wholeness, not fear. You stop over explaining. You move more slowly, breathe deeper, and begin to feel connected to something bigger than yourself. This is where inner peace lives, in the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. And when you stay committed to that growth long enough, something miraculous happens. The right people start finding you. They're drawn to your energy, not your effort. They love you not because you please them, but because you inspire them to grow too. That's when you realize you never lost anything. You simply graduated. So here's my invitation for you today. Don't rush this process. Don't shame yourself for changing. Instead, celebrate your courage to evolve. Tonight, take a few moments for a small ritual. Light a candle. Write a thank you letter to your old self, the one who tried her best with what she knew. Then write a love letter to the person you're becoming. Read them aloud. Feel the release. Feel the rebirth. Because this isn't the end of you, it's the expansion of you. You are not too much. You're finally becoming enough for the life that's waiting on the other side of your fear. If this episode resonated with your soul, share it with someone who's in their own season of transformation. Remind them that becoming unrecognizable isn't the loss of identity, it's the discovery of self. And if you're standing in that quiet middle between who you were and who you're becoming, keep walking. Because growth doesn't always look like joy. Sometimes it looks like distance, silence, and rediscovery. But one day you'll look in the mirror and realize you didn't lose yourself. You found yourself. Until next time, keep evolving with grace and keep walking the way of the wise owl.